this is Chris with Phoenix Gaming, and today we're going to talk about Kill Team Datacards and team building. Before we dig in, I apologize for the sound of my voice. I just got back from Gen Con, and I am a Games Workshop employee, and I ran the Kill Team Sealed Box event as well as multiple Kill Team tournaments over the course of 4 days. Effectively, what that means is that I spent about 12 to 14 hours a day trying to talk over a convention in order to give how-to instruction on Kill Team as well as organize and judge for players at a tournament. So I'm going to be a little rough probably for the next couple of days, but I will do my best to be as loud and audible and clear for you as I can. The overview. We're going to talk about Kill Team data cards. And because that segues very well into how to measure in Kill Team, we're going to discuss that briefly. And then we're going to talk about building your Kill Team. And then at the end of the video, we'll talk about my roadmap effectively for what it is I plan to do for the next few weeks. Kill Team data sheets. Here we can see a trooper veteran, very handsome gentleman there. And we see a whole bunch of different numbers and symbols all over his data card. If you look at the M, that is just his movement. It is 3 circles. We'll talk about circles and shapes and measurements in a minute. But for right now, all you really need to know is that 3 circles is just 6 inches. The measurement widget has different shapes on it. The shapes correspond to different distances. For all intents and purposes, all of your operatives are going to move 6 inches. APL is how many action points you have, and that just determines how many actions you can use. GA is group activation. If you've ever played Necromunda, you'll understand a little bit about group activation. If you haven't, all it really means is when you activate this operative, it's how many total operatives you need to activate when this one activates. So a GA of 1 just means the operative acts alone. A GA of 2 means the operative needs to activate with one other operative with a GA of 2. This is an example, though, of a if you can, you must, but if you can't, that's okay. DF is your defense. Those are the number of dice you roll against ranged attacks only. We'll cover melee in a separate video. Melee gets a little complicated, and a lot of people tend to get wrapped up in it and really let it kind of confuse them. It's not too bad once you understand it, but getting to the point that you understand it is the hard part. SV is the target number for those defense dice. So if I shoot you with a ranged attack and your defense is 3, you'll roll 3 dice, and every 5 or 6, because he has a save of 5, is a success. 6s are criticals. We'll kind of talk about that later. And then wounds is 7 here, and that's just the number of hit points you have. If you're familiar with any of our games, you'll know that wounds are just hit points. If you look towards the bottom there where it says name, las gun, and then it has a target symbol, target symbols are just annotations for ranged attacks. A good rule of thumb for Kill Team is that if it is a rifle on the model, it is more than likely going to be able to have board range, meaning if you can see it, you can shoot it. If it has a pistol on the model, the pistol will typically have a range of pentagon or 6 inches. Pentagon is 6 inches. Again, we'll cover that in a minute. A is the attacks characteristic of that weapon, and that just tells you how many dice to roll. And then BS, WS is the target number for those dice. So if I shoot somebody with a las gun, I'm going to roll 4 dice. Every 4, 5, or 6 is a hit, with 6s being criticals. The damage characteristic of a las gun is 2/3, the first number being your base damage, and the second number being your critical damage. So again, using that example, if I go to shoot you, I'll roll 4 dice, and let's say I get 2, 2, 5, 6. So I have 2 successes because 2 of the dice are 4, 5, or 6, and I have 2 failures because 2 of the dice are 2. I get rid of the failures, and then I show my opponent my successes. My opponent will then roll their defense dice. So I have 2 successes. They'll get all 3 of their defense dice. The target number for this veteran guardsman is 5. So let's say I roll a 5 and a 5. That is 2 successes. However, I cannot use a regular success to negate that critical success. So what would happen is my 2 successes would just negate the one normal success, and then the critical will punch through doing critical damage. That is a general interaction on how the game works. We'll get more in detail later, but that at least lets you know what we're looking at to start with. If you look where it says SR, that's just special rules, and in the back of any of the core rule books is an appendix that will detail them all alphabetically. The exclamation point that you see there also tells you special rules, but those special rules would trigger on a critical. So this trooper veteran doesn't really have any of that, but that's what all that would mean. Measuring in Kill Team, if you look, you'll see a colored shape and then a measurement. So a black triangle is 1 inch, a white circle is 2 inches, a blue square is 3 inches, and then a red pentagon is 6 inches. And again, if you have any of the boxes, you'll see the widgets. You'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you see a number, then the symbol, like in the movement, it says 3 circles. It just means 2 inches 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. And then whenever you're measuring for movement, you'll always measure in increments of an inch. And all I mean by that is even if you move less than an inch, it'll still be treated as though you moved an inch. So if I move 2.5 inches, I'm still treated as if I moved 3. So everything is just done in 1 inch increments for movement. Creating your kill team. Kill teams come in two forms. They have what we call bespoke kill teams, such as the veteran guardsmen you just saw, or commandos, or even like the Hand of the Archon, or compendium kill teams. Bespoke kill teams will have a kill team label on their package. They'll have their own rule book. So again, like the Octarius book will have the Veterans Guardsmen and the Orc Commandos. The Chalnoth book has the Pathfinders and the Sister Novitiate Squad, etc. The compendium kill teams allow you to just use your regular 40k minis instead of the kill team specific boxes. Now you can use the kill team boxes in 40k, and now you can also use your 40k boxes in kill team. And what that lets you do is, if you're like me and the only real kill teams you have are commandos, it'll let you use your other things in order to play. So I could make like a regular orc boy kill team, or I could make what they call a Comrite kill team, which lets you play your Cabalites and your Witches instead of being able to use the Hand of the Archon. And that's just some examples. Rules construction for your kill team, right, will be found in the relevant book. So that means the Octarius book not only will give you the rules on your models, but also tell you how to build your kill team. The compendium will tell you how to build your kill teams for each kill team. I will tell you there are data slate updates and things of that nature, just like in 40K. So if you have a compendium, it is likely out of date, and you should probably make sure you're looking at the data slate to get the most updated rules as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to create a Comrite kill team from the compendium. In the compendium, you will see a Comrite kill team that is Dark Eldar or Drukhari, if you don't know. Comrite kill teams are made up of 2 fire teams from the following list: Cabalites or Witches. And then fire teams will have archetypes associated with them, which I will do a whole video on. But for now, all you need to know is that archetypes will determine what tac ops you can play with. And those are basically your secondary objectives. And then, like I said, we'll cover this in more depth in another video. Kill teams may only have one leader, regardless of the number of fire teams. So think of a kill team as your squad, and then the fire teams are what make up your squad. And if you're an infantry veteran like me, this is actually a really easy translation because that's exactly how my squads were structured. One squad leader, and then, my squad, which was broken up into 2 fire teams. Same concept. For the Comrite kill team, you can take 1 witch team and 1 Cabalite team, or 2 witch teams, or 2 Cabalite teams. So you're not restricted in how you build it unless it says otherwise. And really all that means is that if you've got 5 witches and 5 Cabalites, you still get to play. If all you have is 10 Cabalites, you'll still get to play. Pretty easy. A witch fire team includes 5 operatives selected from the warrior, or the fighter. A kill team may include 2 fighters, and then remember that's kill team, not fire team. So the kill team may only include 2 fighters. If you're running 2 witch teams, then you can actually have 3 total fighters instead. You cannot repeat their equipment options. So the fighters are going to have access to the gauntlets, the net, or the razor flails. If you're running 2 witch fire teams and you take 3 fighters, you have to have 1 gauntlet, you have to have 1 net, and you have to have 1 razor flail. You can't repeat them. If your kill team does not have a leader, you may replace 1 warrior operative with a Hecatrix, and that just gives your witch special equipment options and becomes your sergeant and may give you like weapon skill 2 or an additional wound, things like that. It's effectively just making one your sergeant, and it gives it a little bit of extra over everybody else. Cabalite fire teams include 5 operatives selected from the following list: a Cabalite warrior, a Cabalite gunner who can either get a blaster or a shredder, a Cabalite heavy gunner who can get a dark lance or a splinter cannon, and then each fire team can only include 1 gunner operative, but your kill team can only include 1 heavy gunner. And what that means is if you run 2 fire teams of Cabalites, you can take 2 regular gunners, 1 in each fire team, but you still can only have 1 heavy gunner. So you get 1 heavy gunner if you take 1 Cabalite fire team, but you still only get the 1 heavy gunner even if you take 2 Cabalite fire teams. If your kill team does not have a leader, you may replace 1 Cabalite warrior with a Sybarite. And again, all that does is give you some special equipment options, promotes it basically to a sergeant. Here's a sample Camarite kill team. Fire Team 1 will be a Witch Fire Team, which has the Seek and Destroy and Recon archetypes, which again we'll cover in another video. I'm going to put my leader in this one, but you could put it in the Cabalite Fire Team if you wanted to. And my leader is the Hecatrix, and she will have the Agonizer and a Blast Pistol. And then I'm going to include a fighter with Razor Flails and a fighter with Hydro Gauntlets, and then 2 warriors with Hecatari Blades and Splinter Pistols. That gives me my 5 total operatives for the Witch Fire Team. Now my Fire Team 2 will include a Cabalite Fire Team, which will have Security and Recon as their archetypes, and then the Cabalite Gunner will have a blaster, and then I will take my 1 heavy gunner and give him a splinter cannon, and then I'll have 3 Cabalites with splinter rifles and array of blades, and that gives me a total of 5 operatives: the gunner, the heavy gunner, and then the 3 Cabalites, and that gives me a total of 10 total operatives for my kill team. I could take an additional warrior in my witch one and get rid of the Hecatrix, and then make one of my Cabalites a Sybarite if I wanted to. So that leader could go in either fire team is all I'm trying to say. Bespoke kill teams, like I said, they come in a kill team box and their team construction are found in their special rules. But for the most part, it's going to work the same as the compendium. You're just going to have more options because those kill teams were built with kill team in mind. So you're going to have a lot more different unique operatives, like a comms specialist or a gunner or a medic or something of that nature. So you're just going to have more options with the actual kill team boxes, but everything should play fine, and you should be able to play with whatever models you have for 40K. Upcoming videos, I will talk on strategic ploys, tactical ploys, and tac ops in my next kill team video, and I'll also focus on turn structure because it's all kind of related. Later this week, I'm going to do a recap on my league game versus Custodes. I think that game is going to end up being Friday. I have to make sure that that is on schedule. And then I'm going to do an AOS War Scroll walkthrough. A War Scroll is basically like a data card, but for Sigmar. And we're going to start branching out into some other games. And then later today, I'm actually going to go live and do my preview of the league game, talk about what I think is going to happen, what I think I can do to win, and then we're gonna see if my plan goes to work. Big fan of the 6 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So you guys get to kind of see the way I look at things and how I plan. That's what those preview videos do. Big shout out to my patrons, Captain Too Tall, The Real Donnie G, Lord Wellingstone, and Daniel Bodecker. Daniel, I do have your shirt. It was ordered. It has not been delivered yet. I don't know if it's being delivered UPS. If it is, I have no idea when it'll get here. But I just want you to know it was ordered. We already talked about it in private, but I wanted to reach out because I was thinking about it now and just let you know as soon as it does come in, I will make sure I contact you. There are links on the screen, links in the description. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, it wasn't too rough for you to hear.